head. In our age of social media, we tend to look at this whole big picture and we end up letting it influence our decisions we make at a local level. If we just focus at a local level and treat these people in our community as your neighbors, I think we would be a lot better off.
And it's easy to get disheartened because you see this stuff that's going on Twitter, you see this stuff that's happening at the major federal level from Donald Trump or from his administration. You're like, I can't do anything, I'm just one person. You can
create micro versus macro, right? And you can create so much change. I have a girlfriend that just is now in Santa Cruz County, is now on the city council. And to me, that's like she's the very first female of color to be on our city council in Santa Cruz. I'm from Santa Cruz. But to like see her evoking change every day, and you don't even have to be on city council. I mean, you can do what Dave Chappelle does and show up, or just educate yourself and at least show up to vote at the very, very least. But to see that you can evoke change and anybody can do it if you just put your mind to it, and it really does impact the grand scheme of things, and that the community outreach is so important too. So if you can have police officers that are outreaching to the community, and you can have the citizens doing it back, that it creates that respect that you talked about, Amir, which is so important, because when there's a respect between the two of them, you're gonna be, less assumptions are gonna occur. And when less assumptions occur, then there's less of a bias, and then that can really prevent some disastrous situations. So it only is a benefit. I don't understand why this isn't rolled out on a national level and in a more bigger, grander scale.
Yeah, the officer I was speaking about is Officer Tommy Norman. He's in Arkansas. I just put up his Instagram. And I remember when he first started, he's over like 1 million followers now. When he first started, people were like, oh, this guy's trying to be famous and this and that. But he was setting the example, showing you what community policing was supposed to be. So on his Instagram, he goes, and now people that follow him, I notice, I'll look in the comments and they'll be like, oh, where's Miss Doris? Like people are like becoming fans of like people in the community. He'll go up to the kids and speak to the kids, and just, he puts it on his Instagram. I mean, obviously he's doing his job and he's doing a great job at it, but he's trying to be that example of showing you what community policing is. Know who, some of the elders are in your community, know who the kids are, know what school they're going to, know, where they belong, and know the parents and things like that. And that's what he strives to do. So he started having people like want to send these kids gifts. And like last year I saw over Christmas, there were, celebrities and other people started sending gifts and sending things for certain people that he'll have on his Instagram.
That's
he films it, he's like, hey, this is from such and such in New Orleans. They wanted you guys to have this. And, and I think stuff like that is incredible. I'm not saying every cop's gonna do that, because that's not, the personality of everyone, but I feel like it's great that he's using today's methods to reach the community, but he's also reaching, our country and people all over,
And it's infectious, right? If I was a police officer, or even just an everyday citizen, you look at that Instagram and you want to be more involved. You want to see what you can do. It creates an altruistic relationship where you want to help the police officer too, and you want to look at things from their perspective as well. And I think that mindset of always giving the other person the benefit of the doubt and looking out for the other person is only going to create a successful outcome.
It's crazy. I had an incident the other day. I was driving on 3rd and I made a right on Robertson, and there was a cop car behind me. My tint's a little darker, and in LA it's illegal. It's really dark. And I was like, I told my girl, I was like, I'm about to get pulled over. She's like, why? I was like, she was like, you didn't do anything. I was like, I'm black, I'm getting pulled over. I literally saw the way that they pulled behind me and then they waited. So then I pulled to the side to park, and I was going real slow, and I pulled in the meter. And that's when I went into help me out.
Le Pain Quotidien.
It's a cafe.
The cafe. Because we were going to look at a new apartment or whatever on Burton. So I park, we go into Le Pain, I get my latte, then we go into the lobby of the place where we're going, and those two cops are in there. They were there checking, like it was a health and wellness inspection or something. So
total coincidence.
Can I check your ID? Like, he was messing with me and I started messing with him. And I was like, hey guys, you ready to just go and kick in there? I'll be the Samuel L. Jackson of the SWAT team, So, and then we had a great conversation while we were waiting for the realtor to get there for a good like 15 minutes. And my girl goes, see? Told you they weren't bad. I was like, they didn't know me. They was gonna pull me over earlier.
It's so true though.
But it's just those conversations and not being afraid to say hello. Like when I walk into a room, I want to smile and say hi, because I don't know what you're going through at home. I don't know what kind of day you're having, and you don't know what kind of day I'm having. And this kind of goes to another story that we'll cover later on. But I always try to say, like, if I can spread even an ounce of happiness for that one moment, that hopefully changes your day. So it's almost a pay it forward.
That's awesome.
It may not be.
I love you so
Yeah, but it may
much.
not be buying you something, because I've done that before too, or like hold a door for.
That would be good for me,
You know,
though.
I've seen an old lady like move her purse to the other side when I'm walking, but I'll hold the door open and wait for you after you, ma'am. Or like in an elevator,
You're
like you let a woman
still
go
giving
first.
her the benefit of the doubt. That's
You have to.
amazing.
You gotta change it. You gotta change the mentality.
You
and the
gotta
rhetoric of
change
it.
the mentality, and I would even say to, so to speak, because I know that there's, we need police reform. I know that there's a lot of incidents of police brutality, believe me. But also, I think it's important for people to understand that some of these police officers, what they go through, and where you mentioned how that person's day is. I remember we covered a story on CNN, and it wasn't one of those cut and dry stories of police brutality. There was some layers to the story, and then after we did some digging, and my knee-jerk reaction, this is where I checked myself, was to, because there were so many incidents of police brutality that at that time, it was to blame the police officer. And then I did some digging and I found out that that police officer, I found out that there were some other incidents that were not caught on tape, but more importantly, that police officer also had just come from like a suicide. And earlier before that, he'd come from something else where like it was an armed robbery and he hadn't slept. And
Stressful.
it's stressful,
Super
and we don't, some of these departments don't have the implementation and the structure to make sure that they have their break after 12 hours or 16 hours or whatever that break may be. And so those are some things structurally that need to be implemented too, to protect the police officers, to make sure that they're well equipped, that they're well rested, that they're well trained to handle these different types of situations. And so why not give them all the tools as well? That's not to excuse the bad police officers out there and the incidents. It's not what I'm saying, but it's also to just understand what they're going through as well.
Yeah.
So
Like, just next time you see a police officer, smile at him and say, hey, how's it going? Hi, officer.
yeah,
Start with that.
totally.
Even when you get pulled over, trust me. I've tried
Humanize
it.
them.
Yeah.
Don't dehumanize them.
And hopefully that sets an example. If they don't have that same candor, maybe it'll rub off on them. You
It
never
will.
know.
I 100% believe that it will rub off on them.
I agree. I love it. I love it. Oh, and Kenny, you're so sweet. Will you say your last thing again? You just like to, you drop like a little bit of kindness.
Yeah, you try to bring some type of kindness, whether if it's smiling or like I walked in here when I was doing this live show last week, and I was like, I was like, hey everybody, how you doing?
Yeah.
And people were looking at me like, who's this weirdo? But
It's amazing.
it's gonna be one person that is gonna
infectious.
giggle,
Yeah.
or kind of turn that mood around.
I love
and
it.
That's the only thing I try to do.
Yep, it's like paying it forward. So I'm gonna live like Kenny, be like Kenny. All right,
I ain't
please
perfect, but you know.
share your thoughts in the comment section below, and we'll see you next time on Pop Trigger. Adults are having less sex than 20 years ago, finds a study, and I'm laughing not because of that, trust me. I'm laughing because we were, for some reason, but because this study is about sex, Kenny and I were singing like
They were
old
singing
90s,
at me.
yeah, we were
They were
like,
singing sex
Salt and
songs at
Pepper.
me.
we were singing Salt and Pepper, Let's Talk About Sex, and Grace has never heard of that song. What is that?
Grace.
Is that what I did?
Yeah, that's what you did.
And then Kenny was like shimmying in his seat, like gyrating while I was delivering the title of the song,
I was
or
just-
the
yeah.
title of the study.
He's
Okay.
ready. He's ready to go.
Okay. We're gonna get it together. So researchers have found that adults on average, this is according to The Guardian, researchers have found that adults on average were having sex 7 fewer times annually in the early 2010s compared to the early 1990s, and 9 fewer times compared to the late 1990s. Now, this is a US study. They surveyed almost 27,000 adults, 96% who identify as heterosexual. And this is published in the Journal Archives of Sexual Behavior by Sherman and colleagues from San Diego State University and Widener University. Also, according to the data in The Guardian, quote, the data was collected between 1989 and 2014 through the General Social Survey, a nationwide study conducted most years since 1972 that investigates the opinions and behavior of US adults. Now, also according to The Guardian, overall, the study reveals that the decline in sex over the years is largely down a rise in the number of individuals who are unmarried or have no steady partner, and a decrease in sex among those who are married or have steady partners. And we're gonna talk about, after our 5 words, we're gonna talk about why they believe that is, because they have some theories on to the decrease in sex. Thoughts?
Let's get it on. Later.
Let's talk about sex.
More porn means less sex.
Not necessarily. Did you read the statistics?
I did.
Yeah. So
Break it down, Sam.
Okay. So your statement was that more porn means less sex.
Yeah.
So to your 5 words, Amir, it says, with the study finding that longer working hours and watching porn were both linked to an increase in the frequency of sex.
Because you think about it more.
Yeah, well, of course there's also plenty of studies and scientific data that show that if you are addicted to porn, that's going to take you away from the sex and the relationship. So there's a level.
Okay, but yeah,
there's a level.
If you watch porn in moderation, I would imagine you watch it and you're like, I want to try that.
And it can help live in a relationship too. Like I know with my husband and I, when we were trying, like you try a lot. So we needed some porn to help get us in the mood sometimes, and that's okay. Look at your face. But it's okay, like, to talk about that stuff. Yeah. But it should be known that if you are watching excessive amounts of porn, that can definitely hurt your relationship, and you should probably seek help for that because you don't want it to damage your relationship, and it could mean other things. But let's find out some other trends. It says here too that the author suggests the trends are likely down to a number of influences. One possible factor is the failure to launch thing, which means not what you're thinking.
A lot of guys can't get it up.
Not
so
what
ladies,
you're thinking. No.
Maybe time to think about women. That's what the study says.
That's not what the study says. Jeez, you and Amir just need to go. That's not what the study says. Okay, do you want to know what failure to launch means, Grace? It doesn't mean.
Do tell me.
It doesn't
Samantha.
mean that you can't ejaculate or you can't get it up.
Well, I actually cannot ejaculate.
Okay, well, it means this, Grace. It means this, pointing out that young people are living at home for longer, possibly affecting their ability to form relationships. So they have this failure to launch into their adulthood and go adult. Okay, Grace?
I believe there's actually a documentary about that with Matthew McConaughey and Sarah Jessica Parker.
Okay, we're almost done, and then I'm gonna let you guys chime in. The team also just suggests the rise of social media and other forms of entertainment, such as Netflix, could be replacing time spent with a partner, while an increase in depression or decrease in marital satisfaction could also be at play. It also is possible that the dynamics between men and women in relationships have changed, affecting how they have sex. And then this is an interesting one too. That's one of the big things to go along with this that has changed over the course of time. Men and women's gender roles, both at work and at home. And then finally, the study notes that it might be different in what is considered as sex. So maybe way back when, you would say that you were having oral sex, and you would count that as sex, but now maybe people see that as more as foreplay and they're not counting that as intercourse.
Or only people are having less missionary sex, is that what it is? Because that's not a loss, is it?
That's releasing dopamine constantly. So you're using all of that, all of those chemicals on those things.
All that good dopamine is wasted on swiping on Instagram.
Yeah, so you don't have enough to go after someone to have sex with.
I wanted your theory to be ridiculous and bogus and make fun of you, but that actually does make sense. I'm sorry.
What's your theory,
congratulations.
Kenny?
Thank you.
I mean, my dopamine is on it's up here, it's on 10. So here's the thing that.
So dopamine's gonna be like our euphemism throughout the rest of the conversation.
I have a huge dopamine.
Yeah, my dopamine is on swole, it's on 1,000. No, I've never been a porn guy. Never went to Pornhub and all this stuff. To the extent that I was very naive. When I moved out to LA, I had a lot of different friends. And a couple girls would be models, or they would bring other girls around that I'm really cool with. I didn't know that they were porn stars until one day my boy was like, "Yo, that's I'm not gonna say a name, but he's like, that's such and such." I was like, "Who?"
Okay. I'm right here, so yeah.
So yeah, but. And I'm not a masturbation person, but I love sex. I can have sex 3 times a day, and I want to have
masturbation people?
Yeah. No, because I feel like that's all related. I feel like people who watch porn sit there and masturbate. I don't have a problem.
No, I have to do both.
No, I don't have a problem with that.
No, but women actually can eat. Well, I shouldn't generalize. I apologize for saying that, but I know for most of my girlfriends and for myself, you don't need porn to masturbate.
Right. No, I'm saying I feel like people who watch porn or do those things masturbate more. And I'm saying masturbation doesn't do anything for me. I need I need it in the flesh,
interesting.
Everything. It does not. It's I'm just wasting my time and I'm getting pissed.
That's an interesting tie because
I'm really mad.
That's an interesting tie because if you are watching excessive amounts of porn, again, there's a balance here. If you're watching excessive amounts of porn and you are masturbating excessive amounts, it has also been proven that you get used to your own masturbation technique to the point where it's going to be more difficult for you to have sex with your partner.
Yeah.
So excessive masturbation, excessive porn, they do go hand in hand, and it will impact your relationship excessive amounts.
Yeah,
Grace?
like, I mean.
What about me? What, Grace?
Chime in.
I've been chiming. I've been trolling.
I want to know more.
What's
What's
there
your
to say?
theory?
I actually kind of agree with Amir's theory. I think that our focus is in different places, and it's not. Sex comes down to like an interpersonal relationship and like having those connections with like a human person face to face. And I think that in recent years we have sort of moved away from that. Sex because it is less of a priority to connect with people face to face.
We have so much distraction.
But
yes.
No, you're gonna be disappointed. You want me to say a sex secret? I know you, Sam. I know your little beady eyes. I know you want me to say
beady
like
eyes.
Well, right now you have you're like
you're the one that dropped the bomb like a week ago that you have sex like multiple times a day or multiple orgasms.
Didn't say that.
I don't remember that.
On the show, I'm not disclosing personal information. I would never do that to Grace. You disclosed on the show.
Monster, multiple times a day.
That's not what I said.
And multiple orgasms, something like that.
That was I believe the term is joke. It just didn't land.
Okay, it sounded like an admission to me, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. That's
I was
amazing.
just saying that like oh fuck, my hi mom. So I was just saying that like not all the time, not every day, but like I'm just saying that there's a misconception that girls are not as sexually active or like less sexual than men, and then men are the predators and whatnot, which is a weird term to use for what I'm gonna say. But girls also have a sex drive as well, a healthy sex drive, and so we should all be having sex.
Absolutely,
all the time.
I agree with you.
As soon as we're done taping.
Like I don't understand sometimes how even like in my personal situation, I have a bigger sex drive than my girlfriend necessarily, but her sex drive comes at different times than mine. Mine is like all day long. Like you can call me and be like, hey, I'm like, I'm on my way. And I just like I get pleasure in pleasuring a woman. Like I feel like I pay attention to detail. So it's like
true feminist.
I want you to have that ultimate experience every time.
The Kenny Hamilton experience.
Because for a guy, it's like we can. I know what can get me like for a second.
No, you get off watching your partner.
Like I want to make sure that you understand that it's not going to be anyone better than this situation right now that you in. So that's how.
Once you go Kenny, you don't go back.
Exactly. Damn straight. Boom. Drop the mic on their heads.
And I think to piggyback on all your points and Amir's theory.
Is piggyback your favorite position?
Hey.
That was good. That was good.
Okay.
Good job, Grace.
That's how you got what's in your stomach, a gut full.
I know, my little soap. I don't like
never
involving Sophie.
She'll never watch it.
Where did this just go?
We're not. So, okay, but I think distraction is the key. When we constantly have our phones right next to us and we have the TV on and you want to check all your social media platforms, you're not present and you're not able to.
Our instinct and our drive to go after sex is lower.
100%.
It sucks, but
you got to get rid of the distraction, and sometimes it sounds unsexy if you're in a long relationship or maybe even a newer relationship. It sounds unsexy to say something like, make sure that you have to kind of be conscious about it and like almost schedule it in. But I know like when I know, Mark's gonna be on his way home, sometimes I will be like, okay, we're gonna eat dinner. I'm not gonna look at my phone for the next few hours. And that definitely helps. Otherwise, if you have your phone next to you.
But then you're gonna be like, oh, I'm so full. Like, I hate that. I'm like, man, let's eat lettuce and get some burrata and just call it a day. Like,
but there's nothing sexier than like red wine and pasta though. You don't think so? Like a long dinner and then whatever happens after?
I think we eat pasta differently. Like I think like I go full bag. That's if I'm eating pasta, I'm not eating anything else that night.
I'll say this too, because like David Duchovny, Eric Benet came out and they were saying that they were sex addicts and had a sex problem. And I thought that I was like, they just talking crap. But I understand, like when I wake up in the morning before I go to bed, I'm like, but it makes me feel like it relieves my stress.